What's up, everybody? We are back on the Living Mosaic podcast, and today we're doing another one of our coffee chats. This is kind of a shorter format where we're just gonna talk about some random topic. In some of these first ones, we may share a little bit more, just kind of our backstory and just some funny things.
Anecdotes.
Yeah, maybe some serious thrown in occasionally, but really this kind of started with us getting up early in the morning and having coffee and chatting.
But typically it's when I would have been up for a couple of hours because kids in the night, and I would have some off the wall thought,
Mhm.
and I'd be like, so what do you think about this? And it would be crazy stuff.
Yeah, so we started having those discussions. We really need to just record these.
Because it would be interesting.
Yeah, so we're formalizing it a little bit. We're not going to be in our PJs and sitting on the couch, but
maybe one day.
Yeah, that may happen. We'll see.
Get a couch out here, so there's...
Yes, we definitely want to do that. So help us by subscribing and
Hey.
following and reviewing and liking.
And doing all the things, so
interacting.
maybe, just maybe, we can actually afford to continue doing it.
So.
All right, so today is my lucky day. If you haven't listened to his cult story, go find that coffee chat.
It's relatively funny.
But I was trying to figure out what to talk about. Sent out a couple of text messages, had some interesting suggestions, but landed on how I kind of ended up in this role as mom. It sounds really weird, but if you go back with us...
We don't get into the biological how.
Oh, jeez. People do ask if I know how it happens because we have 6.
All the time.
But no. So if you go back to the beginning of our, what I like calling our relationship, not relationship, which
That's another story.
Maybe at some point we'll get into that. But our hyper quasi-fundamental Christian lifestyle. Dating, but we weren't allowed to date. Thank you, Josh Harris, for kissing dating goodbye. And thank you even more so that you recanted. But we were on the phone one night and we were talking about future and all this different stuff. And suddenly Ian goes, I really want my wife to be a stay-at-home wife and mom. And at this point in my journey, that was not in the cards. That was not in my mind at all. So I literally choked back laughter and was like, oh, interesting. I wonder how that'll work out for you. Because again, we weren't official. So I wasn't going to give this, I don't know, take on whether or not I would do that for him.
Mm-hmm.
But I vividly remember that night, and I got off the phone and I was like, God, you better change his heart. And then I did whisper, or mine. I at least had enough wherewithal to do that.
Yep.
I'm
just saying the funny thing on my end is I look back and the season we were in, the people that we were around, that was so much the culture of the homeschool families, the really the
big white vans, which we check.
Ironically do have. Although we are trying to sell it. So.
Yeah.
But and so it was who I had assimilated into being in that season of life. And I think the reality is prior to that, totally not on my radar. Not that wasn't something that
a prereq.
Yeah, I wanted
dating.
I wanted from a young boy dreaming about my future, because I didn't at all.
Yeah.
And so it's just very funny now. Even looking back, I think hindsight, I feel like we probably would have done things a lot different. Not that we wouldn't have kids and all that, but just how we would have approached everything would have been very different.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. And the thing is, I kind of went into motherhood kicking and screaming. That was not what I wanted. I had very big, lofty plans and dreams. I really thought I was going to be a missionary and travel and live in the Middle East. I had every intent of going to school and getting nursing and probably my master's in nursing so I could be a charge nurse. I had big plans that did not involve raising tiny humans. I always loved kids. Being an aunt was my all-time favorite thing. Every job that I thought about probably involved kids. So nursing, I thought about working in the oncology department. I thought about being a child advocate and specialist at the children's hospital. I'd done all the research there. I had plans and direction before he showed up.
Yeah.
And so we had that conversation And our dating, not dating, we met September 1st. We declared a like for each other in November, but he wasn't dating for 6 months. And I was like, okay. And so this is very quick synopsis. First date was my birthday, my 21st birthday. A month later, we were engaged. 2 months after that, we were married.
On August 20th.
Yes. Good job, babe. So when's my birthday?
Got it. May 16th. I know that one. Like,
when were we engaged?
June 18th.
There you go.
Yes.
I've been trading him. And so because of that, like we didn't have a ton of time. Like that conversation about I want my wife to be a stay-at-home wife and mom was probably like in March, April. Like
yeah, it was all like 5 minutes before we got there.
Yeah. So, and then we promptly got pregnant in January the following year. So we got married in August. We were pregnant by January.
Yeah.
I had not finished my schooling. He was a barista.
Yeah, we were so ready and set up for it. It was great.
Yeah, and so I kind of didn't have a choice but to pivot into motherhood. And like I said, I came kicking and screaming.
Very much so.
I love motherhood now. Like, could not pick a better career path for me.
Yeah. And I know we have 6 kids. Our oldest is 13, so 13 years later.
Yep, 13 years and 6 kids. I'm finally like, yeah, this is
kind of like
I
this.
fit
And
this.
the irony is now
I'm doing this.
like we're starting, things that are an outlet for her that
incorporate
yeah
my creativity.
So
And
it's interesting how sometimes whenever you give something up or whatever, I hate to say like if you sacrifice something, like when God shuts a door, he opens a window, like those kind of things. Like I hate that, but there is something about living life with open hands and being willing to pivot and move according to God's leading, according to how life, the ebbs and flows of life, and to like embrace that. And I think that is hard.
Yeah, very hard. And the thing is, it's not that I've never... Okay, so in the kicking and screaming, because kids, if you listen to this one day, I don't want you to hear, like, I didn't want you guys. Like, I very much did. I loved taking care of Judah, and I find it a great privilege that I've been able to stay home with each of my kids. That early on when we had $0, generous families allowed me to come watch their children and bring my children. We had a little bit of wiggle room. I remember, our first Christmas with Judah, I think. I mean, it was our second Christmas with Judah. Yeah. The first one he would remember. I was nannying at the time, and the family gave me a week's bonus. And I went home in tears going, I can actually buy my kid a present, because I wasn't expecting to be able to buy him a gift. So it's like, I love being a mom. I've loved being a mom. I think the just a mom mentality that our culture has, and even in the church, how they've done it, where you have the homeschooling wife and mom, like she is kind of a second-class citizen often in that patriarchal headship ways. Yeah.
It's a far cry from honestly what you see in the Bible, and even like you look at the Proverbs 31 woman, and that is not how women are in ways like encouraged and allowed to be in the church. Like so often, the women's ministries, they have, the Proverbs 31 everything. And yet like
not many of them are in the markets. Not many of them are leading in their areas.
Yeah, like encouraging these things that are actually portrayed in there. And that's a whole different discussion, I think. I think that there is somewhat of there's a good side to kind of coming back from the real, both people have to be working, and the whole pursuit is, money and keeping up with the Joneses that developed in the 80s and with, kind of like the previous generations to us. And so there's a good kind of pulling back from that, but it's just oftentimes there's overcorrection, like, movements swing whenever you had like the feminist movement, like it was a good start and it kind of swung pretty far. And that overcorrection tends to happen. And I feel like in areas there's somewhat of that overcorrection
Yeah.
within more specifically the church and more fundamental
So,
groups
yeah, of the church, of
with
like,
women are like your place is only in the home and
I mean, the jokes about being barefoot in the
yeah.
kitchen and your job is to make me babies and sandwiches. Like, I heard those jokes in middle school, which,
Yeah.
you know, like I literally had a guy tell me at one point, I think in like middle school, high school, like, you belong in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm sorry. What?
I don't really like sandwiches, so
I know that's actually another source of contention in our home.
Crap.
Throwing yourself under the bus there, babe. No.
Always.
And I don't like making sandwiches, honestly. It's boring.
There we go.
Oh, but I like making bread. Side.
Yeah. It's the best. In the West and everywhere.
So yeah, it's just been interesting. And I think one of the things I've learned and have come to love in motherhood is like, I have the opportunity to be the go-to person for these kids.
Yeah.
I get to help mold them. And because I'm with them all the time, because we are the homeschooling, they're with us all the time, family, I get to notice the little shifts in their behavior and sometimes the big shifts.
Yeah.
And check in and be like, dude, are you okay? Like, you want to talk about what just happened here? Like,
yeah, so much more of a pulse on their being and their everything. So
yeah. And it's a great honor. Like, yeah. I am often baffled that I was entrusted with these kids.
But no, really.
Because, and I've not done it perfectly, and we have some massive things in our past that we've had to work through. But, like, they are all so uniquely different. Mm-hmm. And if you are not a parent yet and you've never, like, really experienced it, like, each kid is remarkably different. Same DNA, same genders, 6 very different individuals.
Yeah.
Very different.
That's wild.
And so it's such an honor and a gift to be able to do it. And I have a hard time talking about it because I don't want to, I don't know, I think I still have a hard time not thinking it's a less than.
Like
just being a mom.
Yeah,
like the being a mom.
Being a mom, yeah.
And then I have the other swing of it of like, I know people who long to become a mom. And so I don't want to like flaunt it either. But the reality is it's a gift and an honor. And I'm grateful that even if the dysfunction of our start of our relationship and the religiosity that started us, like it did put us on the path where it forced me into motherhood.
Yeah.
And I'm honestly really grateful for that.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing where, not to like say that that's the right way to go by any means, but God used a lot of things in our past to kind of form who and what he wanted us to be. And so it's just
absolutely
fascinating to look back
and
whole
see
perspective thing.
And the thing is, I don't think this is the only way to mother at all. I have a friend who is a total bad A and is high performing in her career. Her husband's also high performing in his career. And yet I watch her mother her kids and like have a pulse on her kids in such a way that it's mind-blowing. So it's definitely not the only way.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the whole key is like being present and investing in your kids, because like maximizing time, it doesn't really matter as long as you're fully engaging. Obviously there's so many different ways that we can do life and whatnot.
And there's a lot of ways stay-at-home moms can be completely disengaged.
Yeah.
There's been seasons where I've been completely disengaged and not been reading the pulse, not been seeing them as the gifts that they are. Yeah. So there's not one way to do motherhood. Please do not hear that I'm sitting here going, you have to stay home and be barefoot in the kitchen. Because I don't believe that. You don't have to be making the homemade sourdough or doing all of the things. You don't have to homeschool your kids. Mm-hmm. But I do believe investing in them and knowing who they are in their hearts is a winning thing.
Yeah, For sure. Awesome. Well, we appreciate you sharing.
We listen and we don't judge. Is that the current trend on social media?
Yeah, I judge a little.
Judge us a
lot. Okay. Well, we appreciate you guys continuing to follow along on our journey. Like we said earlier, we'd love for you guys to like subscribe. We're on YouTube, Spotify, depending on where you are. Different platforms, like you can obviously follow on that and leave reviews. That helps us immensely. We are excited about what we're doing here, and we do want this to grow and to get other people involved, have guests on, all that kind of stuff. We are working on plans for all of that kind of stuff. So it is cool. It's exciting.
And I am trying to get better at posting on Instagram, but also Instagram's a great way to like reach out,
especially engaging in the conversation. We want to. That's the thing about this. We want people to be like engaging and giving us feedback and telling us what you think and what you want to hear, and whatever it is, negative, positive feedback. We just want to engage with everybody. And I know that we're discussing, and we will be discussing, things that are all over the map and somewhat difficult sometimes and all of that. So we love to have the engagement and the discussions.
And those who have sent text messages and reached out personally, like we really appreciate it. Like
I love
it's been really fun.
The feedback. It honestly has been.
So thank you so much. And we'll see you next time.